Your muscles are this amazing pharmacy that are manufacturing and storing chemicals that have profound effects on your physical and your mental health.
You will never think about physical activity the same way again. I'm Dr. Nock, PhD scientist, here to help you separate fact from fiction in health and nutrition. If you transfer blood from physically active mice into sedentary mice, it reduces brain inflammation in the hippocampus, and it appears to improve cognitive performance. That finding was from a Stanford study that showed that those mice that received blood from runner mice instead of from sedentary mice had changes in expression of over 1,900 genetic pathways, notably including downregulation of the inflammatory response. Now, mice are not humans, of course, and the only reason why I'm telling you about that study is because I think it's a really good example of the fact that when you do physical activity, there are bioactive molecules that get produced and released into your blood that can go on to have beneficial effects on your health. Today, we're talking about physical activity and myokines, special molecules that your muscles release during exercise that are biochemically active in your body. In a sense, it's like when you work out, your muscles turn into little beneficial biological pharmacies that produce these proteins called myokines that then go into your blood and distribute off to the rest of your body to improve your health in various ways that are still being studied. Myokines have been proposed to influence visceral fat mass, fat metabolism, immune function, hunger and satiety, glucose regulation or blood sugar regulation, bone and muscle growth, blood vessel function, among others. I'll give you an example of evidence for just one specific myokine called interleukin-6, or IL-6, which is one of the most studied myokines, and it can spike up to 100 times above its baseline level during very intense exercise. That exercise-induced IL-6 has been suggested to affect hunger, metabolism, and immune function. And if you genetically knock out IL-6 in mice so they're not producing IL-6, they gain weight, they develop insulin resistance, and dysregulated blood sugar control. But if you genetically modify mice to produce extra IL-6, they lose weight. Other rodent studies have seen that IL-6 is associated with GLP-1, which is the hormone pathway relevant for medications like Ozempic and Zepbound and other similar weight management therapeutics. If you inject IL-6 directly into the brains of mice, it suppresses food desire and it improves glucose tolerance. Now, like we said, rodents are not humans, and genetically knocking out or enhancing IL-6 is super extreme compared to the expected magnitude of effect of exercise-induced IL-6 in humans. That means that these types of findings we're talking about are useful to try to understand mechanisms, but they don't necessarily translate to human relevance. That being said, some limited and small-scale research in humans has implicated similar effects for IL-6. Human studies have reported that people taking medications that are IL-6 inhibitors are more likely to gain weight, and studies of infusions of IL-6 into people have suggested that it may somewhat improve insulin sensitivity and delay gastric emptying, meaning slow down the rate of stomach emptying, which, depending on how much it does so, may help stabilize blood sugar or prolong satiety. You may be thinking this sounds like a weight loss drug, but the reality is that the magnitude of these effects is nowhere near what has recently been achieved by the actual GLP-1 related medications like tirzepatide and semaglutide, which are already clinically available. So I can't give you an exact number for the benefit of myokines in improving your health in ways far beyond weight management. That's just one example. But the short story is that doing exercise basically transforms your muscles into a factory that releases these beneficial myokines into your blood that can go fine-tune your body systems in various ways that appear to be beneficial. As another example, there is a myokine-brain connection. Cathepsin B, another myokine that is produced during physical activity, has been shown to cross the blood-brain barrier and increase the production of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which is kind of like brain fertilizer.
What?
Or maybe fertilizer is not a good metaphor, but it helps you form new neural connections. It's been implicated in memory and learning. In one study, participants who engaged in regular aerobic exercise experienced a 12% increase in hippocampal volume, the brain region that is specific for memory, after just 3 months. So doing physical activity can literally grow your brain, and it's possible that one contributing mechanism there is the release of myokines with neurotrophic activity from that physical activity. Knowing this, perhaps now it makes more sense to learn that exercise can improve memory and reduce risk for dementia. Myokines are far from the only mechanism for this, of course, and I expect they're not even close to being the dominant mechanism, since other health factors like blood pressure, blood lipids, and so on also improve from exercise and also are related to risk for dementia. But it's part of the bigger picture for how physical training can benefit you in ways you might not expect. Beyond the brain, myokines play a huge role in metabolism. Irisin is another myokine that's released from your muscles during exercise, which is thought to help convert white fat into brown fat. You may not know this, but white fat tissue, especially visceral white fat tissue, like around your organs in your abdomen, is not just an energy storage location, but is actually endocrinologically active. It releases hormones, it recruits immune cells that can contribute to chronic inflammation that's thought to be part of the mechanism for why visceral visceral fat, especially, is associated with increased risk for things like metabolic disease and some types of cancers. So doing physical activity, which produces more myokines that may help mitigate the impact of that white fat tissue, is beneficial. Higher levels of the myokine irisin have been associated with improved insulin sensitivity and reduced risk of metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes. Another myokine called Fibroblast growth factor 21 also acts as a metabolic regulator, and studies have shown that FGF21 levels go up due to exercise and may help enhance fat metabolism. So activity-induced myokines sound helpful, but what type of physical activity is the best? The short answer is that you want to do both aerobic training and strength training. There's many different types of myokines, and some of them are stimulated more strongly by one exercise versus another. You don't have to run a marathon or do pro powerlifting to get beneficial effects though. If your overall goal is health, even adding short bursts of vigorous physical activity, totaling up to just 15 to 20 minutes per week, has been shown to cut cancer mortality risk by around 17% and cardiovascular risk by around 40%.